any time boring you with my thoughts. I'd rather get these guys up here and let's hear from them because they're anxious to talk. So, if you would please, you know the Rangers made some huge moves this offseason, addressing the one thing that I think was plainly obvious to everybody that needed addressing this year, and that was this team needed to pitch more effectively, pitch better. So what do? Well, you look for guys who can maybe fit in your team, or that's what most general managers do, right? Or you just go out and say, well, who are the top, like, I don't know, three agents available? Well, let's just get them. So here they are. Please welcome them up to the stage. Nathan Eovaldi, deGrom, Andrew Heaney. All right, everybody got a microphone? Make sure that Jacob's working. Okay. So as I mentioned, you know, you get the the best three you can find. It's kind of unprecedented. It's not easy to do. It's not as if you can just call them and say, hey, we're just going to pay you. You're going to pitch for us. They have to agree, and so they have to want to be here on some level. So how good are they, right? I mean, we're talking about guys who have pitched in roughly 7 postseasons combined. And that could be 3-4 series in those postseasons. We got a couple of Cy Youngs, roughly 7 All-Star appearances up here. So pretty good group. So let's start with Jacob. We'll kind of go chronologically on this thing. I should just open it up and let him just speak from the heart. But let me ask you, Jacob. There was a lot of attention and anticipation even going into this offseason about what you might do in free agency. You didn't waste a lot of time, right? You didn't dally and court a bunch of offers. It seemed like this happened pretty quickly. If you could just give us a little idea of what the process was like.
Yeah, you go through interviews and stuff, and then getting on the phone or on the Zoom call with CY, Vogt, and seeing kind of the vision of where they wanted this to go, was definitely a huge plus. So the goal is to win a World Series, and hearing what they were doing and the goals of building a winning team and bringing a World Series championship here, I was on board with that. Felt like it was a great place for me and my family, a good fit, and that's kind of how the process went. Things moved pretty quickly, and like I said, after talking to them and seeing what they were doing, it was all a plus for me.
I think the perception is with professional athletes today in all sports really is that when it comes to that opportunity to cash in, if you will, the biggest club in the bag is money, right? And the guys are just like, well, who's going to pay me the most, right? And their agents would have, of course, a little bit of desire that way too. Well, we want to get you the most money. So obviously that's going to be some factor. But it sounds like, in all your cases actually, that, I hear Chris Young, CY's plan. I hear, Bruce Bochy, Mike Maddox. I hear those guys, these factors being a big part of it. So how holistic is the process for you guys? I'll let you start it and then we'll go back.
Yeah, definitely. Bochy has won how many? 3? Getting that experience and getting the opportunity to learn from Mike, and then being around these guys, and what they started building here last year, and then what all they did this offseason, and we're excited to get things going. It's easy to sit up here and talk about it, but we got to go play baseball games, and what they've put together and the experience that we have, I'm looking forward to it. We got to go out there and get between those lines and compete, and these guys know how to do that with the best of them, so definitely excited for that.
Yeah, all you guys have great numbers, right, in your careers. You've all distinguished yourselves as great pitchers. But when you go back and you talk to people or you read stories or you learn more about just the whole picture, the competitive edge, that fire, that desire to win seems to kind of shine through in all of your careers, right? Managers and coaches talk a lot about it. Andrew, I wanted to ask you, kind of along the same lines of this process, because you were the second domino of the 3 to fall. probably the top left-hander available out there, similar that you throw very hard, you strike dudes out, you don't walk guys, etc. It's all things that we're coveting these days. You no doubt had a lot of suitors and a lot of offers that may have even exceeded what the Rangers had to offer. How did it play out for you?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with you're starting and talking with teams and doing interviews and on Zoom. And you kind of, teams have a reputation, right? Like you kind of go into those meetings sort of already having a preconceived notion, and sometimes that can be good, sometimes it can be bad. So going into the Rangers meeting, like I had an idea of who I was talking to. Obviously, like the reputation of the coach speaks for itself. CY has a great, reputation as being a straight shooter, being a really good guy, obviously former player, former pitcher. Those things are important. And sometimes the Zooms don't go that great. And then sometimes you get in there and you start talking and you feel like it flows and you feel like they understand what you're talking about. They're hearing you, they know your feelings, your ideas, your thoughts, how you view yourself as a player, how they view you fitting in. And that just is a small snapshot of feeling valued, right? Like any player wants to feel like they're in a place where they're valued, they're in a place where their contribution is going to be appreciated. And so I think that kind of starts the whole thing. Obviously, seeing a player like Jacob sign before me, that's exciting. Obviously, like being in a rotation with these guys, it's going to be extremely fun and exciting. It's something that, like you said, as a competitor, like you want to be a part of a group like that. You want to be a part of a group where you feel like you got to keep up with the guys in front of you, right? Like everybody needs to put their best foot forward, and that's how you create a culture and create a winning environment.
Also kind of a local guy, right? It's like what, 15-minute drive from here to Oklahoma City. It seems like, at least from my house.
3 hours up the road, yeah.
So yeah, you're not far from home, and Lord knows you've pitched plenty against the Rangers. In fact, I recall a game as we were closing down the old ballpark in 2019. It was in August, and I just remember that you've dealt as inside baseball talk. He dealt. He was nasty. You struck out like 14. You didn't let our guys, hit. You were kind of a ball hog that day.
Yeah.
So what about your familiarity with the organization, the area, being local, and just some of the fun that you've had against the Rangers over the years? Did that play a part of it?
Yeah, definitely. I came down here a lot, like as a kid. This is where I watched professional baseball, and, in Dole Ballpark. That game was a noon game in August. It was like 108. It was like 120. The tops of my ears and the tops of my feet were like burnt. I was like getting an IV after the game. Just, oh god! So I'm very happy to have a dome here now in this beautiful new ballpark. But yeah, this is a place that I'm familiar with, like close to home, just comfortable lifestyle. It'd be great for my family and friends to be able to come see me more often. So I'm very excited for that.
Okay, so and now let's ask you a little bit about Nathan Eovaldi. You're a Texan. You're from Alvin, Texas, and anybody who's followed baseball knows the other guy who came from Alvin, Texas. He was pretty good. Also a Ranger at one point in his career. But for you, Ed, you just said, Jacob had already signed here, so that was part of it, right? CY's selling him on the notion. Well, now, Odorizzi had been acquired in a trade. Jacob had signed here. Andrew is here. You're in conversations, no doubt, with 1,000 teams. Tell us a little bit about what was going through your mind when your decision came around.
Yeah, so when it first started out, the Rangers had reached out right away. They were one of the first teams involved. And, we had our Zoom meeting. I felt like we hit it off. Everything went well. And then they ended up signing Jacob to his contract, and talks quieted down. And I was like, I really want to be able to join the Rangers. And then we ended up signing Heaney and Odorizzi. And I'm like, to me, pitching wins championships. If you have good pitching, they're going to be able to keep the batters at bay, and we're going to give the team a really good chance to win. And it was right around Christmas. My agent said, "Hey, we're going to call the Rangers back and try to make this happen." And sure enough, it was like I want to say it was the day after Christmas we were able to make it happen and come to an agreement. And again, being able to be a part of the championship team, which I think this is what can happen. The starting pitchers that we have, I felt like the bullpen last year was outstanding. They just got a little overused because we lacked starting pitching. Now we have 7 to 8 different guys. I really like the way that the front office goes about. Rangers have never won a World Series, and they have that determination to do so. In the next few years, adding Corey and Marcus, you got Nathaniel in the lineup. You got Garcia. We got a lot of guys that have the power, and we got the speed up and down the lineup as well. And I think it's just going to play, especially with the ballpark that we have. And again, we talked about it, having Bochy a part of the managing the team and the success he's had. And again, CY in the front office. You got a mixture of players in the front office, and then you got the guys in the analytics. And I think that combination goes a long way. And they're going to be able to relay the message to us, and we're going to be able to relay the message back to them and feel comfortable with it. So, I'm happy with the way everything played out for sure.
Is home for you down near Alvin?
Yes, I'm in the Friendswood area. I'm 20 minutes away from Alvin. My wife and I went to high school together. We dated all the way throughout high school. We've been together since then. All of our families right there. So again, this is home for us, and like Heaney said, it makes it a lot easier for the family for them to make a 3 to 4 hour drive up here as opposed to a 4-hour flight up to Boston. And for them to be able to come out and experience it, and then the same when we go to Houston and play the Astros, we'll have a lot of support there as well. So that obviously plays a big factor in there as well.
All right, so I want to ask you guys this. In the NBA, we've seen it. LeBron James took his talents to Miami, and then we see guys like put together these super teams, right? The tail wagging the dog, if you will. Teams don't even get to decide so much how their teams are put together. It's like the players get together and, well, let's all 3 of us go to this place. And that's kind of how it works sometimes in the NBA. It seems crazy. Almost impossible to do in baseball. It's just a lot more complicated, I think. But it's almost as if that kind of happened here, right? It's a little absurd. Like you said, once they make these moves, you're thinking like, well, these conversations are quieting down. This could be a little hard to pull off. And getting all 3 of us at the same place, and yet it kind of happened. The influence that each one of you had on the idea of you ending up here, is there anything to that? Like, in other words, it's more attractive to you that they had already signed here?
Yeah, it's definitely more attractive knowing that they're backing up what they said they wanted to do. In our first Zoom meeting, they said that they were going to be willing to go out there and spend money and add certain guys to the mix. We both have to be honest on those Zoom calls about how we see the team and the areas that they were lacking, and CY brought up to my attention that the offense, they were 30 runs behind the Astros last year. The Astros won the World Series. So that goes to show that it's not the offense that's the issue, it's the pitching. And we all work together as a team, and again, like I said earlier, I think pitching wins championships. We saw the way the Astros were able to pitch during the World Series in the postseason, and we talk about their bullpen. If the starters are able to go out there and do our job and go 7-8 innings, it makes it a lot easier on the bullpen to go out there and do their work every night for us. So again, with having 7 to 8 starters in the rotation, obviously we're not all going to be there at once, but for a team to stay healthy the entire season, it's kind of impossible. Everybody's going to go through their injuries, and you just want to keep those as minor as possible so you don't miss very much time. But you have to have the next guy be able to step up in line to be able to help the team out. It starts from the entire organization. Everybody has to be bought in on winning, and I think everybody is here.
Okay, well, I appreciate you bringing up the word, because it's not exactly the one thing that everybody wants to focus on, but it is the elephant in the room, right? Is time spent on the mound for anyone, right? We're in an age where it's difficult to keep everybody healthy for a full season. We don't see a 5-man rotation be the only 5 guys to take the ball for a team anymore. That just it's just not realistic. So in terms of health, because that's what it's the first thing they would say when the exciting news would come out that each of you signed. Oh man, this is so exciting. Everybody, we're pumped up. Hope we can stay healthy. So tell us about Jacob, you can start since Nathan's been hiding it. But a little bit about, sometimes we don't know how to interpret what health concerns might have people on the injured list for any period of time, right? It might just be a thing that is a thing. And then ultimately, they don't feel like it's going to have any impact long term. You get Tommy John surgery now, you do your time, you're back, and good to go. So where are you guys each in terms of your health? How do you feel about where you are physically going into this year?
Yeah, I feel really good. I finished the year strong last year, and kind of had a weird injury that was random scap, like stress reaction. I think like one or two other people have done that in the history of baseball, so it was very strange to hear that. And like I said, I finished the year healthy, felt really good. And this offseason, have had a normal offseason of throwing. Already thrown 4 bullpens, through one today with Mike, and got to talk to him a little bit about kind of this process and what spring training is going to look like and scheduling all that out. And, everything's normal. So the goal's to go out there every 5th day, take the ball 30 plus times and try to put us in a position to win. You do everything you can to stay on the field. And that's the goal. So the goal for me is to go out there every 5th day and compete and try to put us in a position to win.
Andrew, how are you feeling?
I feel good. Really, honestly, echoing the same thing Big said. Finished the season strong, healthy. Got my first taste of postseason baseball in my career. Something that I hadn't done before. I was excited, to do. Having a great off season right now. Same thing. Going bullpens, feeling good, and really just kind of ready to get to Arizona and get going.
Yeah, I'm fully healthy, ready to go. Workouts have been great, bullpens have been great. Just excited to get down to spring training and finally be out there on the field and start building the team. Get out there and start winning games.
So and the deal is you do whatever you can, of course, to maintain strength, balance, whatever, to stay as healthy as you can, and a fairly standard, shoulder programs, whatever, to stay healthy. But then everybody always ends up, there are other things they may have to do or may try to do. What's the weirdest thing you've ever tried to do to either rehab something, to get yourself healthy? You've got the guys who have blister problems, they use the Stan's rodeo ointment on their finger, they use pickle juice, or, random things like that. Anything you guys ever done? Any workout, any mental games, anything like that?
Kind of tweaked my neck one time. They put a laser on my head, and I had to I felt like I was just following the laser. He said I had to keep following side to side, so I did that. It worked. I guess it's more of a visual control type deal, where I'm not doing too much with my head movement, but luckily it didn't take long to recover from that.
That's awesome. Acupuncture.
That's. I feel like that's a normal.
Yeah, stuff. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, cupping, what is that?
Cupping, all that pretty normal stuff.
Yeah. Was there ever anyone that somebody, like the laser thing is fantastic, right? Somebody asked you, whether a trainer or maybe somebody outside was like, why don't you just balance an egg on your forehead for an hour?
Someone else with the Red Sox, our massage therapist. He was the absolute best, but he would palpate your mouth. So it's get a glove and it's put that glove on and you get a little nervous, but you kind of trust him. Everybody clenches their jaw. And he's very spiritual and says that you gotta be able to relax. Yeah. He kind of just pinch your cheek and I'm all right, I'm ready to go down. It was different.
I love it, right? And at least the first time somebody puts those suction cups on you, might have been weird, right? Unless maybe you had a lot of teammates and stuff, you've seen them do it before, but the first time somebody puts you on a chiropractic table and starts popping your back might even be a little weird too. Anything ever?
Yeah, there's this one time we got a live chicken in the middle of the clubhouse. Just kidding.
You had our attention because we all know anything's possible. All right, then forget the injury part of it. What about, let me see if I can get this right. I think it might have been you, Andrew. I want to say after you had Tommy John, right? You go through the process, you come back. When you came back, It was you. You were on the other side of the road. And you did like maybe 10 games. It didn't work out great, and then you came back to the other side of the road, right? You guys are always tinkering. You're learning new pitches, you're suggesting things to one another. It's like golf, right? Oh, you're too strong to grip. Why don't you weaken your grip? Maybe you want this or the other. So you guys are always messing around. What's the strangest thing you've ever tried to improve your effectiveness as a pitcher? Moving to the other side of the rubber isn't strange, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know. Strange. I don't know. That coach told me to throw a pitch with my eyes closed one time. I guess maybe that's the strangest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, it's strange. You ever try to breathe through your eyelids? Old reference, but it's supposed to work. Jamie, anything?
No, I don't know. I can't think of anything that's really strange. I'll randomly throw bullpens left-handed on the track man, but that was just me goofing around. That wasn't to help me get better. So.
You know, speaking of which, there was a video of you years ago. I remember. It was you probably know where I'm going to go with this.
I don't.
It was the ballpark camp, and you were wrestling somebody on the staff, and it was pretty quick too, right? You demolished him pretty quickly. Do you remember this?
I don't recall that.
Who was it?